So here.
Wonderful. These are very new chairs.
Very
new chairs. So for those of you looking at your programs and thinking Derek wasn't the name, Derek has kindly stepped in. So does this count as an interim CEO role again?
I'm interim CEO for the next 10 minutes, yeah. Our CEO couldn't make it, I'm afraid.
Good. Well, look, we have covered Shop Direct many times, formerly Littlewoods, formerly Little Shop Direct, now just Shop Direct. It's been in our leading retailers ever since we've done the index. But talking about transformation, the business has gone from having 400 or something shops, the catalogs, multiple brands, and is now one of the leading digital-first retailers. So just tell me firstly what that transformation has been like.
Well, morning everyone, and I'm not sure how brave it is to be first, but thank you for having me. I think when you look at Shop Direct and the journey that it's been on, I've only been there 18 months, so it's hard to just sort of explain how it was in the past. But you're right. I mean, many of you will remember Kay's catalogue, Littlewood's catalogue, the whole catalogue era, and of course the Littlewood shops. The shops were all sold back in 2001, 2002. And 3 years ago, we stopped the catalogues entirely. So we're now from a business that did have 23,000 people, we're now a business with 4,000 people. So there's significant change to the number of employees, point one. We are now entirely online. Everything we sell is online, and over 80%, 82% of the business is mobile. So from having shops all over the country, we now have people walking around with our shop in their pocket. And it's been a massive change. So we've got very different people, very different processes and systems, which I'm sure we can talk about.
Well, let's talk about that, but let's maybe ask you about your first impressions. So when you arrive at Shop Direct, what was it that struck you about the nature and character of the business, moving from outside in?
Yeah, I mean, for me it's interesting because I didn't come from retail. So I have a distribution background, and then I was actually a finance director of an aerospace company. So engineering and high tech was obviously clear. You need plenty of that if you're building planes. But I think what was interesting about coming into retail, and particularly internet retail and Shop Direct, is just the speed of change. So I think there's a constant pace. Obviously, we're trading daily. That's an area of focus. And during the Black Friday fortnight, we're trading hourly. So I think the pace at which you have to make decisions, the pace at which things are happening, was caught me by surprise. I was expecting it, but it caught me a little bit by surprise. And I think the fact that you can't rest at any point. So we have made a good transformation, and from the outside looking in, you can see Very is a very strong brand. The business is doing very well, but we've got an awful lot still to do, behind the scenes, and indeed to try and stay ahead of the curve. So it was that pace that was.
So I'm going to ask you what you're up to in a little while, but let's dig into this idea of the character of the company. With an engineering background, you'll appreciate conformance, scalability, being able to reproduce things on a consistent large scale. But what are the other factors you think that have contributed to, what's I think nearly a 2 billion turnover business? What are the factors that have made that possible?
I think if you look at us, we have a very large advantage that we've been doing this for 80 years. So distance retailing today is internet, but in the old days was catalogue. So we have that in our DNA. That's a great advantage in terms of knowing the customer, understanding what they want. In some ways it's a disadvantage though, because you have that legacy that you have to deal with. So I think the DNA of the business is very much customer focused. We are customer centric. We're a credit platform as well. I mean, we provide our customers, many of our customers use our credit in order to buy the product. So spreading the cost over the life of the purchase is a core USP. So I think remaining focused on who your customer is, focused on why they value us, along with that legacy of history, if you like, has made a big difference. We're also Northwestern based, so we're up in Liverpool. There's a certain, it's a large campus. We've got a lot of people on site, so there's a real buzz about being, in that area. And we're one of the main employers in Liverpool, which means we have the pick of the talent, which is also very, pleasing.
So let's look at that talent, and we're pleased to have Jonathan Wall joining us in a little while. Jonathan, who's featured before as well, has often talked about innovation. Tell me a bit about the talent and the attitude to support innovation, because sometimes making a change from a successful formula is harder than starting afresh. So how do you maintain that innovation?
I mean, I guess the biggest, we have the benefit that somebody before my time made the decision to launch Very, which was a brand that has effectively innovated itself ahead of all of our traditional brands. And if you look at what Littlewoods has done over the last sort of 10 years, you could see what Shop Direct would have been had we not built Very, which is growing at 10% per annum. So that's that sort of heartbeat of needing to never sit on your laurels is very clear. I think the thing that we're very clear on at Shop Direct is that innovation isn't just technology, it isn't just coding, it isn't just sort of boxes and wires, it's about all of it. So there's a technology focus, there's a talent focus on how we hire people, who we have, and there's a ways of working focus. And I think one of the things with obviously being online is that you're not necessarily in shops, you're not necessarily touching the customer on a daily basis physically, but you do need to make sure they stay at the centre of what you're doing. So the vibe in the office, we have a very cool office. I think it's an old aircraft hangar. The vibe is very good. We provide gym services, we provide a lot of sort of things, extracurricular activities for the staff and the teams. And that tries to kind of engender this idea that you come to work not just to get the job done, but to add value. And that process, that way of working is kind of how we encourage that innovation.
Now, we all have to say the customer's at the heart of our business. What does that actually mean? And how could I tell objectively from 30 paces that the customer's at the heart of your business?
Well, so tangibly, what you could see, you might need to come close and you could look at it from 30 paces, but I think tangibly, certainly in the last year, we've spent a lot of time really looking at what our customers value. So the millions and millions of customers out there, and we're confident that we can compete with anyone, but we don't want to compete with everyone, because I think there's a danger that you try and be a master of everything and you don't focus on the USP. So, as we said, our customers value the credit proposition and they value the brands that we offer, and it's that combination of really high quality brands, which we go out and we find, and the well-positioned credit offering tailored to them that makes us unique. And in the last year or so, we've done a very detailed piece of customer research. Again, great things with technology. We invited a number of our top customers. They didn't know they were our top customers, but we did, obviously, to participate. And about 50 of them agreed to participate. And they kept a video diary for 8 weeks on their mobile phones. And we would send them a list of questions each week, and they would answer those questions. And for the first 2 or 3 weeks, they didn't know it was us asking the questions. And then the big reveal happened that it was us. And then finally, we kind of got really into their lives. And we then invited them to come to the office. We've met them. We've gone through a whole series of user experience testing with them. And they are now, if you like, the set of customers, those 50 people, we're creating personas based on them to help our 4,000 staff really understand who values us and how we make ourselves relevant to them.
So I think it's time to spill the beans in that case. So you've got this insight from your customers, you've got the data, you have an innovative attitude in the business. So on the board, what is your priority for the coming year?
So we have a couple of things. I mean, it's always a bit of there's a mixed bag between things that are really cutting edge at the front and also sorting out some of that legacy. So one of the big benefits of 80 years is, as I said, the customer knowledge. One of the downsides is we have got a bit of legacy out there. So for example, this year we made the very difficult decision to close our distribution network in the Northwest, which will put actually 2,000 jobs at risk. And we are building a new fully automated distribution centre in the Midlands. So today it takes 4 hours from the point at which you click on your phone to buy a product to that product ending up in a van to come to your house. In the new distribution centre, it'll take 25 minutes. So that will enable us to offer same-day delivery. That will enable us to offer a cut-off time.
So same-day delivery
for most of the
across
country,
the UK?
given the location.
Yeah.
Now, again, it's an interesting one. Whether the customer really wants that or needs that and is prepared to pay for that is an interesting question. But you have to have the capability of doing it. So that's one of the big innovations. It's not that exciting in some ways because you kind of say, well, it's just a distribution shed, but the automation that we'll be using, the speed at which we'll be able to service those customers is very, exciting. We're also putting in a new customer experience behind the scenes in terms of our account management and interaction with us. So those are very two large, if you like, building blocks, foundational projects behind the scenes. Front of house, we're looking at revamping the website again. We have a good website, functioning website, but back to my point of speed of change, you almost have to cannibalize it almost annually. So we're going through another process of website design and just thinking about the customer journey through the customer's eyes, working with those customers that I talked about earlier to understand what works for them and what annoys them and what doesn't annoy them. Again, mobile first. So the website and the entire experience is designed with mobile in mind, and then desktop and other applications follow.
Come afterwards.
Exactly.
Now, before we let you go, people like comparisons, where you fit in the world, and it used to be that you were a department store in 600 pages, then you're a department store online. Department stores, this may be an archaic term within 2 years. So when you look at your business, I wouldn't say you're a credit first business, a brand first business. How do you see your business, and against whom are you judging it? Who's your peer group as you go into 2019?
So we are multi-category. So rather than department store, we're using phrases like multi-category.
I'll pretend I thought of that.
And look, at the end of the day, depending on which category we're looking at, we do have clearly different competitors. So, if people will say, are you competing with ASOS, for example? Well, not on washing machines, we're not, no. But on washing machines, we compete with AO.com, dresses we compete with ASOS. So depending on the category, we have very clear competitors. People like Argos.
And those competitors you've mentioned are digital first businesses. Is that an accident or?
No, well, no. I mean, those are the obvious sort of comparisons, and I've kind of mentioned for this room. Next is another big competitor of ours. Obviously, the bricks and mortar are competitors of ours. We're very pleased not to have any bricks and mortar. It means we can move a little quicker and hold less stock. But I think that proposition is the key. So I think in order to win, and you talked about earlier, the changing market, I think businesses who understand who their customer is and what that customer values will be successful, almost regardless of whether you're a multi-category business or a specialist on one thing. But if you don't understand why your customer shops with you, I think you're going to be in trouble. So we are, we're about the brands, 1,800 really quality brands that you can buy from us, and we're about the credit. And the combination of the two, we think, gives us a real competitive advantage.
Wonderful. Look, Derek, thank you so much for joining us and giving us an insight into that. So, ladies and gentlemen, if we could thank Derek for his time, that would be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really love to see you.
All right.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, everyone.